had a whole team of administrators that were our predecessors. Dr. Godwin mentioned the high administrative turnover. I want you to understand what we mean by that. In 4 years, we had a new president, 4 out of 4 new vice presidents, so every vice president, and 3 out of 4 deans, all turned over in 4 years. So that meant that the team that created our Achieving the Dream work had all retired, moved on, or left, and we have a brand new team now trying to implement that Achieving the Dream work. And I think we all understand that it could have all died on the vine when they all walked out, or when they all retired. So it is a credit, I think, to the administration who said we're going to keep students' success first, and that means the Achieving the Dream work goes full throttle. We chose cooperative learning because of low SESI scores and student engagement way back in 2003. And one of the great aha moments for us as an institution and for me when I moved over from elementary ed into higher ed was the percentage of higher ed faculty who had zero pedagogy at all. And as we've traveled, and I see so many heads nodding, as we've traveled the country teaching other faculty how to do cooperative learning, it continues to astound us of the simple reality that we hire faculty and we throw them in the deep end of the pool and then get upset with them when they begin to sink. And the reality is, if we don't teach them how to teach, we will never move the needle of student success, and this light that is shining so brightly on us now will very quickly dim, and we will no longer be able to strike while that proverbial iron is hot. So I want to share with you just a little bit of data on our 3-year graduation credential attainment. Dr. Godwin mentioned, and as was mentioned on Tuesday night, we've experienced more than 100% growth in our graduation attainment rates. And that may sound really impressive, but what the reality is that they were extremely low to begin with. They were extremely low to begin with. Now, one of the things I do want to mention the fact is, in case you can't see, the next to last column there is the percentage of non-Pell students, and then the far right column is the percentage of Pell students. And our Pell-eligible students, our low-income students now, are graduating and transferring at higher rates than our more wealthier counterparts, which is something that we didn't expect, frankly. I show you this because this to me is extremely powerful. And I grabbed this simply right off our Achieving the Dream template. I went straight to the Achieving the Dream data site and grabbed this. And I don't so much want you to we are the top point there, the top line. And what I want you to understand is that our completion transfer rate dove. Does everybody see that? We did not see immediate gains. We did not see cooperative learning making dramatic input or impact immediately. And this is so critical, because if you're going to move mountains, you don't do it overnight. If you're going to change the dynamic of the classroom, it will not happen overnight. It could have been so simple for our administration to say, well, whoa, 4 years now, we're declining. Something cannot be right with this. And it took a great deal of courage for us to say, we're going to stick at this because we know this is the right thing to do. We know this is the right thing to do. And what we saw was a nice turnaround. Let me move quickly. Dr. Godwin has alluded to this. We've now trained 122 colleges over the last 4 years. Trained them in what? Trained them in cooperative learning. How to make that classroom into a dynamic, inviting environment. And we're replicating that into the online platform, because we all understand that if we only do the face-to-face, we're going to lose a large chunk of our students. And I want to give a shout-out to this as well. 100% of our faculty are trained. It's a requirement in the job description. It is a requirement in the evaluation process, and that all came from the faculty. And now 80% of our adjunct are trained. If you're an adjunct at Patrick Henry and you want to come back next semester, you got to be trained and you got to implement. We found out early on that only doing full-time would leave the greatest 70% of our classrooms untouched. So it was a requirement. And then a diminishing success gap between white students and African American students. It's already been alluded to by CCBC, taking a hard look at the data. and not pointing fingers and not laying responsibility, but saying, look, there's a success gap in Gateway English. That course that opens up to the psych and the social and the history. There's a success gap between the white students and the African American students. And we're not laying blame. We're not saying whose fault it is. We're owning it, and here's what we're going to do to fix it. And then tracking those results. And then quickly, some lessons learned from Patrick Henry, and then we'll turn it over to questions, I believe. Number one, pedagogy change has to be faculty-driven and administration-supported. And I'm going to say again, if we're ever going to really dynamically have huge results, it's going to happen in the classroom or it ain't going to happen. And at my church, I would say, can I get a witness? Because if we don't change what's happening in the classroom, we've never really changed anything. Our new administration has to be steeped in the student success movement. And as we've already seen, pedagogy change takes time. I applaud CCBC because doing something as radical as ALP, changing the curriculum, when we were in a DEI school, the Developmental Education Initiative, we said over and over and over, if we're going to move mountains, we got to change curriculum and we got to change pedagogy. And what you've seen with CCBC, with their ALP project, is a curriculum change. What you've seen with Patrick Henry is a pedagogy change. And I'm going to be honest, those are the things that will really drive results, I think, in this age of spotlight on higher ed. And then as Dr. Godwin said, leadership has nothing to do with your title. Boy, we've heard that over and over and over again at Patrick Henry. Thank you for being here. I think, Mary, we're going to have time for questions, so I'll turn it over to you.